I started painting this particular area of the canvas because it's very important for me to understand the measure of the depth of paint that will be thickest on the whole composition. In all works of dynamic realism, the objects that are closest to the foreground are going to have the thickest paint. But by thickness of paint, it's not just the thick layering of paint. The paint has to show the texture and the form of the subject that's being portrayed. So this area of the canvas will be the most prominent in the foreground of the composition, and also this area of leg here, which hasn't been done yet, will also be most prominent in the foreground. So what I had to do is come up with an understanding of how far I could push the depth of paint relative to the subject. So I understood at what point did the accuracy break down. So to take the paint right up to that point where the form and the texture is correct and it's deep enough, so as I do the rest of the composition, the level and the depth of the paint will decrease as the composition, the background, from the foreground to the background, there's a decrease in the depth of the paint to give this heightened illusion of motion. So that's one of the reasons why I started in this area, because it will be the yardstick or the measure for the entire composition. So what I've learnt from the composition so far is there's a big difference when you're creating a painting in an Indian environment, that the colour spectrum is wider than what I've experienced when I've captured Northern Hemisphere related subjects in artworks. So what that means is in the artworks I've been used to, there has been a very clear push and pull between reds and blues and colds and hots within the colour spectrum. In an Indian work of art, it seems that in an Indian environment, to make it authentic, there is not just the blue and the red bias in the colour palette. There are greens that come in, very vibrant greens that come in and also pull the direction of the colours that you're trying to mix. So that's very interesting and a big learning curve. The second thing I've learned really is because the composition is so big, it takes a lot more understanding, which I think is why this particular area of the painting has taken such a long period of time. The understanding of the whole composition and the depth of paint in such a large scale project is very challenging and will continue to challenge in a way that smaller works of art are a lot simpler to put together.